Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm here with a new knitting podcast a little bit later than probably I planned. Because today is the 4th of September and usually I try to do it, really at the beginning of the month. But I've just been a little bit all over the place. So that's all I have to say and we can get started now. I have two finished objects for you. The first one is the knit knot blouse from Macimille. It's this little wool little shirt and the construction of this is really lovely. This was actually a test knit and it was only my second ever test knit, and I believe the test knit amount of time was like 3 weeks maybe, and for a fingering weight top that's not a lot. I knit this in Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color light copper brown, I think is the name. I do have some of it here because I'm using it like some leftovers, but this is how that yarn looked. I actually really like this yarn. I do think it's quite expensive for what it is. I'm not sure if I would necessarily purchase it again. I really enjoy the construction of this top. It's very interesting and new to me. It's kind of like a drop shoulder, but then also with like raglan increases. And then it has like a little puff detail with some lace. Then buttons and then the lace again on the bottom, which was absolutely a pain in the ass to knit this little frill on 3mm needles. It was just so many stitches and I knit this in a smaller size, the size extra small. So I cannot imagine knitting it in a larger size and just having so many stitches. It's not my thing. About the buttons also, I actually did something really fun, and these are actually the little like pearlescent buttons that you see on a lot of like ready to wear clothing. Let me show you up close. But then I actually used the wrong side. So this, you can recognize these buttons. So this is the right side, but then I just flipped them around because I felt like a little bit of a darker button would suit this better and I didn't have anything else. So this is one that I finished and I had to finish it because it was a test knit. Then I've mostly been knitting more like wintry things, even though I'm not wearing any knitting today because it's once again suddenly 26 degrees. I do really feel like fall winter. I just cannot wait, honestly. But so I've not really finished a lot of other things besides these socks, which I think I've been working on this for like 2 months now, so it was about time that I finished them. But I'm not a huge sock knitter yet. This is only my second pair of socks that I've made. I followed the pattern of the Meadow Mingle socks from Drops, but then the lace that is here on the top is from my Lana lace skirt pattern that you can get for free on my website. I'm not sure which chart it is, but I will put it on the screen if I remember. And then I did like a rolled edge by just having a lot of stitches, and then I think I did some decreases. Then it just has like a regular gusset flap and toe thing. They are not that exciting. So those were my only two finished objects, and now we can get started with all of the whips. The first work in progress I actually showed you last month, and I'm not sure how far I was. I think I was still on the body, but it's my stripe hype sweater by Kutovakika. I knit this in Drops Lima. It's the main white color that you see, and then just a bunch of leftovers. We have hand-dyed yarn for myself. This is hand-dyed yarn from verve. This is also from verve. Then this is pure gynt. I think it's tynn pure gynt from Sandnes Garn. Do not recommend that yarn. I just find it a little bit scratchy for me personally. And then these are the leftovers from the knit knot blouse. So this is Sunday from Sandnes Garn. All of these I held double and then together with either a silk mohair or Mayflower from like this. It's Elba from Mayflower, which is a brushed Shuri lace weight yarn, which I really like. It's just a little bit softer and not like, it doesn't have that silk texture that silk mohair does. So this is silk mohair from Sandnes Garn. And then the Drops Lima I just held on its own. But Drops Lima is actually also a little bit fuzzy, so I always like to get up close. The whole thing kind of has like a fluffy texture. I think there you can kind of see. Especially here. Because this is the most typical silk mohair and it's just super super fluffy. Then it's all twisted rib. Then the adjustments that I made is that I have less rows for each stripe because I wanted to make it shorter. Then I didn't do any decreases on the arms, I just went straight. And then the ribbing I did on the same needle size, so it's a 4mm size for this ribbing. Then the neck and the bottom ribbing I did on 3.5mm needles, which I believe the pattern recommends 3mm needles. And then I did no decreases on the body. And as you can tell, I'm on the second sleeve. I have had this on my needles for 2 months, which is quite a long time for me personally. Usually I have a sweater definitely done in a month. I've just been kind of slow with this, kind of bored with it to be honest, but now I really have that like motivation to finish it. I really want to get it off my needles, so the next knitting podcast I definitely will have this finished because I don't want to be working on it anymore. But I do really like this sweater and I really like all the colors that I chose. I think this is quite a nice color palette. And then I did this one, which is on the sleeves here on the top. I believe on the pattern they also do something different. And then they also have a contrasting color on the, like here, but I just kept it white, I don't know why. I did quite a few modifications. Other work in progress that I have, I also showed last month. And I have no idea what I had, but I'm just gonna show you. I think I talked about restarting this project, but it's like a knit design that I'm currently working on, and it's gonna be a little lace cardigan. I have decided to make it a drop shoulder cardigan because this started out as a raglan cardigan. It just, I will show you the back because it's more interesting. But this has a European drop shoulder and then it alternates just a bunch of different lace textures. And I have joined the front and the back, but since then I've not really worked on it. So I don't think this has had any progress since like 3 weeks. So maybe I also showed this exact same thing in my last knitting podcast. I'm not sure, but here it is if you've never seen it. This is Drops Karisma from Drops Karisma in the color Desert Rose, which is this. I have a bunch of it. I think I'm gonna have quite a bit left. So no progress on this, or maybe progress, I don't know. But then a more exciting work in progress is actually something that you have never seen before, and that is almost finished. So I've flown for this one. It's a design that I'm working on, and I'm planning to release this one the soonest, and I will have like a tester call for it. I'm hoping to have that this Sunday, which means I have to knit at least finish this sleeve, hopefully also the other sleeve, or else I have to take some creative pictures with only one sleeve of it done. But it's gonna be called the Bloom Bobble sweater. And it's knit on 6.5mm needles, and it has this cable detail that goes to the front, then like a lace with some bubbles here. Then all of the sweater has like a little bit of a pearl texture in there. Then the neckband has a picot edge. Then we have some twisted rib. No decreases on the body, just like praying straight down. And then the sleeves have just plain stockinette. And then that same lace pattern that is on the body. And then I'm doing some decreases, which I personally prefer like a balloon sleeve, which was my original plan. But I don't have a lot of yarn. And then this yarn I got from a Norwegian website called Strikka Mekka. And it's really nice, and they have some really nice brands, which is why I like to order from them. But usually when I do, I place like a giant order, which is quite expensive, and then the shipping is not so much when you add it all up, because the shipping to the Netherlands, I think it's 20 euros. But I don't really need yarn. Like, I have plenty of yarn behind me here, so I don't really want to order just like one ball of the yarn that I need, which I have not mentioned. But the yarn that I'm using is this. I think this is an exclusive to their website. It's Sandnes Garn Sky. And it's just like a blown alpaca kind of yarn. It's, I think, basically the same to Drops Air or, for example, Viking Alpaca Briz, Camaro Snefnoeg. There are a bunch of yarns that are similar to this. So 50 grams for 150 meters, and it's in this really nice dusty color. The color number is 620. And then I'm holding it together with Mayflower Elba in a dusty rose color. And I'm really happy with this design so far, so we'll have to see how I like it with these sleeves. I hope I like it. Yeah, because they are more narrow than I would usually choose. But maybe that's also nice. Yeah, I don't know. So that's something that I've been working on, and I hope to get this finished soon. I think when I have finished the stripe pipe sweater and then this one, I think I will feel much lighter and more relieved, because then I have 2 sweaters off my needles and I can cast on some other things, because I definitely have seen some new designs that I would like to knit and also have some ideas of my own. So it would be nice to get started with those. Then I also have a little crochet project, and I'm making a Scrappy blanket. This is my little Scrappy blanket. I believe it's around 140 centimeters in width, so it's about the size that I can personally stretch my arms to, like that. So it's gonna be for me, so that's why I think this is a good size. I did an interesting cast on here, because I originally cast on, I think, 160 stitches. I didn't cast them on, I chained 160 stitches. But then it was very tight. So I know that Inga from Knitting Traditions also struggled with that for her like granny square stripe blanket. So then, as inspired by her, I actually unraveled it all and then put it on knitting needles and then knit all of it. And then I believe I bind off with a stretchy technique. I can show you up close, but I have to say I don't really remember what I did. But if you also want to make a blanket like this, I think I would just cast on with your knitting needle and then bind off with a stretchy bind off, and then from there start crocheting, because here you can see that it stretches, and I think you really want that stretch, and it's not nice when it kind of has like an odd shape because of the tight cast on edge. So just a bunch of different colors. I'm gonna try to keep it in this kind of pink, brown, cream theme. And then I also have a bunch of this, which is Lana Glossa Cool Wool Baby Print Punto, which I really didn't know what to do with, but I'm gonna use this like as the main color in this blanket. Because one, it's very soft, but also because it's a baby print punto, which is how they call it. So it has like speckles in there. So I think it really suits the hand-dyed yarn. I think, yeah, it's a really nice combination. And then I also have some mini skeins, just a bunch of things, then some leftovers from the sock that I showed you before. So I can put that in there. Yeah, I really like to have this project. Just in my basket here, so you can see some of the yarns. This is gonna be like, I don't want to say like a lifelong project, but it's definitely gonna be a project that's maybe gonna take me more than a year. We'll have to see how long. Then my final work in progress are some socks. This is the Daisy Dancing socks from Drops. I'm using exactly the same yarn as they are using in their pattern, is Drops North. I really like this yarn and I like that I'm using 3mm needles. The only thing that I found now that this is my third pair of socks, I'm still kind of figuring out the needles that I prefer. I definitely know that I prefer this size, or like, you know, like the 9-inch circulars. But I also have found out that I prefer the Knit Pro Symphony needles. So these needles are the Knit Pro Sing needles, where one needle is longer than the other one, and then this is shorter. And then also, I just feel like this is very harsh, so it goes very thick to thin, and then it really has like a bump here, which has made the knitting process for me very not enjoyable, because I really have to like push my stitches like on the needle every time. So it's not very smooth. So it kind of defeats the purpose of a 9-inch circular. Whilst the Knit Pro Symphony, which are the wooden needles, I found that it doesn't really have that as much. So I think I'm gonna have to get a pair of those and then start working on these again with those needles, because right now I've just not knit on it at all because I just cannot stand these needles. Which I did knit my first pair of socks on these needles, but then I guess I didn't really know any better. And then these ones I didn't even say, but this was 2.5mm needles on the Knit Pro Symphony, and it was so much more enjoyable. Just, yeah. I've only been filming for 20 minutes, so I've definitely really sped through this video. I'm really sorry about that. But I can end this video by talking about a few patterns that are actually on my mind. And then I also have one yarn acquisition. So I will show that first. It's right here. I actually didn't buy any yarn for a whole month, which I was quite proud of. But then I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday I went to the yarn store and got some. But it was September already, so I still managed to not buy any yarn for a month. I have this really nice cardigan design planned. Like a chunky cardigan, like vintage inspired. Kind of like the Austrian cardigans I was trying to knit in like my first knitting podcast. And for that I've purchased some silk mohair. But this is actually a silk mohair that I really like. It's from Gazal. And I think I really like this one because it has merino in there. Oh, it doesn't actually have any silk. Because I think the more I try different kinds of mohairs and theories and that kind of stuff, I think it's actually the silk that bothers me. So Drops Brushed Alpaca Silk, for example, is a yarn that I don't really like. And I think it's because of the silk. And then this has 22% polyamide, 31% superwash merino fine, and 47% super kid mohair. And I just find this to be very soft. Also when I put it in my neck right now, it doesn't scratch or whatever. And it's quite affordable. And I think this is a really nice brown color and perfect for fall, and unlike anything that I have knit so far. So, got 4 balls of that. Let me put them back. That's all that I bought. And besides that design, some other designs that have caught my eye are, for example, the new Sandnes Garn designs. They have a gingham sweater that I think is really nice, and also Drops Design is coming out with a new yarn. It's called Drops Daisy. It hasn't really been advertised anywhere, but if you go on their website and you go through all of their yarn categories, where they're like categorized by weight, it says Drops Daisy, new, coming soon. So honestly, every day I go on their website to see if it's available again, because I'm definitely very eager to purchase it. Because it's a non-superwash DK weight merino wool, and all of their other yarns have either been superwash or not merino wool. So you can imagine why. I'm very eager. And also all of the colors are very nice, and the price is gonna be €4 per ball, which is half of the price of, I think, Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, which is then the most similar yarn that I can personally think of. So those are all of the things that I've finished, that I've been working on, that I'm thinking about knitting. And I think that's all that I have for this video. I do want to say also that I have like a whole rebranding situation going on in my personal business life, which has been taking up a lot of time. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make any videos this month. But then at the end of September I will have 4 sewing patterns coming out. Also with a YouTube tutorial. So if that's something that you're into, you can subscribe to my channel or follow me on Instagram to keep up. And I will hopefully see you guys soon. And then if not, I will see you at the end of September. But I wish you happy knitting and also a really good day. Bye guys!